Neil, what's going on, man?
I'm here. I'm here. I'm happy. I'm well. I'm restored, and I'm ready to go. How you doing, Zach?
I'm doing okay, man. Let's talk a little bit about that. Why are you restored?
Why am I restored? I am restored because I made some choices. I made some choices to be radical about my self-care, radical about accountability in my life and in my profession to myself and with others. I took time to refocus on what's important to me, for myself, for my family, for those whom I lead, for those who I look to for leadership, and really thinking about what's my work to do. What's my work to do in the world, in service of others? What's my work to do for my family and friends? What's my work to do for myself so that I can show up in ways that serve best while I have time here, in this life on this planet, really getting clarity. And really, restoration usually comes up in the context of, or often comes up in the context of well-being and wellness. So, there's some of that as well, very much focusing on my physical well-being, my emotional well-being, my mental well-being, my spiritual well-being, and bringing those together in a way that serves everything around me.
I remember when we started this endeavor with the leadership range, you and I, we talked a lot about kind of like who it serves. And, I'd love to get your perspective on, as we think about this new season of the leadership range, what are you excited about? What are you looking forward to discussing? And what are you looking forward to sharing?
Yeah. Well, let me respond to that in the context of when the leadership range began. And it began at a time where things were just hot, on fire in the system around a lot of the social justice issues that we face and that continue today. And in particular, in 2020, we were talking about racism and white supremacy, which still is a conversation that's going on, but we had people getting killed and getting killed very publicly. And we had the dominant majority's attention in a new way, because we saw someone killed on live TV with a knee on the neck, and that, and everybody's attention was focused on it because we were just going into pandemic season. And so, although the leadership range by definition focuses on leadership, relationships and teams, well-being and inclusion, the emphasis during season 1 was really on social injustice, with a specific emphasis on racism and white supremacy, and what Black and brown people and leaders needed to do to navigate in this space. But also we talked about what people who identify as white or with white skin can do, ought to do, or some things to think about in trying to be, allies or be in solidarity. So most of the conversations were on that inclusion, on that diversity and equity dimension of the leadership range. Going forward, what we're going to hear, what I'm going to share, is going to expand. Really, leadership is the underpinning of all of it, and looking at it through all of these lenses. Well-being. And when I talk about well-being, especially for people who are Black and brown, going beyond what we typically hear: mental health, survival. I'm going to be talking about that, but also, how do we thrive? What does well-being look like out in society? What does well-being look like in our communities? What does well-being look like in our families and for us individually? And why is it important when we work for a living and we want to perform at our best? So really excited to talk about well-being and expand it beyond surviving, right? I'm excited about that. Teams, relationship systems, organizational systems. We know white supremacy is a set of systems and structures. And I've spoken about that on the leadership range. But I really want to, again, with leadership as the underpinning, really elevate systemic and relational thinking in the context of leadership and why that's important for everyone. But really look at that in ways that are potentially unique to the experience of Black and brown people in corporate America. How to think systemically, how to feel systemically, right? And how to behave systemically. Systems-oriented leadership. And how to call other people into that, how to invite others into that, and how to live into it to support thriving at work.
I'm excited because when I think about your background and your profile, you're one of the most credentialed coaches, and certainly one of the most credentialed Black male coaches in the world. You have all these certifications. You're constantly traveling, speaking to various executives. Talk to me a little bit about watching an executive leader or a mid-level leader be listening to the leadership range.
Yeah. Well, I think the leadership range is safe. And I don't necessarily try to create safety for the dominant majority. So when I say safe here, I mean, you just need to listen. You don't have to go sit in front of a Black person or in front of an audience of even other people who are white and feel vulnerable. People change in different ways. And it's really hard for executives to make themselves vulnerable publicly. It's a little easier privately. And any executive, any race, ethnicity, or background. But, I'm going to be asking questions, sharing insights that invite leaders to look into aspects of themselves that they would rather not talk about, have seen, or share about publicly. And you're going to learn. You're going to learn. And there's going to be an opportunity to expand your leadership. It's going to be an opportunity to expand what your potential legacy could be in the context of inclusive leadership. An opportunity to safely think about some things that are conscious or unconscious in your being, the shadows of your being, that might allow you to make incremental steps that could feel transformative in your leadership and have you move from more often serving a few to serving everyone. And I think this serving everyone and leading everyone in an organization, I believe that most executives truly want to. They just don't know how to. And getting there is hard. Getting there is scary because it requires some exposure often. And I think the leadership range is a safe place to really learn because I'm going to say it like it is. So I don't think this is just for Black and brown people. I think this is for anybody that's a proponent of equity and justice and diversity and leadership, great leadership. I don't think you can be a great leader without being an inclusive leader.
Well, I agree. That's why you hear, the Living Corporate Network. I'm excited about our listeners coming and listening and checking this out as we kick back off. And they're going to be checking you out every Monday, Neil. Man, just thank you. I want to tell you thank you. I'm excited about the show. I'm excited about people hearing more of your perspective. Excited about the guests you're going to be bringing on. And I appreciate you. Is there anything else we need to talk about before we let folks go?
I just want to invite people to rejoin us on the Leadership Range. And, there's going to be a lot of variety. Some recordings will be longer, some will be shorter. Some will be just my voice. Some will have voices of other coaches and other leaders and authors. Everybody's invited to show up and join and be a part of this journey on the Leadership Range. And I will, and I just want to share in my work, I train coaches. I'm a faculty member, at a coach training school. And in team coaching and systems coaching, I'm finding that more and more leaders are showing, and when I say leader, I think everyone's a leader, of course, but when I say leaders in this context, I mean people who are not trained coaches are showing up to these coaching classes to learn coaching skills. But specifically, I'm seeing many more leaders show up to learn ways to work across differences, to understand and work with diversity. HR leaders, OD leaders, executives are showing up in these courses. So I know that there's interest across the board, right? And when we can work across differences, when we can take care of our well-being, and we do that on the foundation of thinking, expanding our leadership, everyone does better. Everyone does well. So I'm really excited about what we're going to be bringing forward.
Awesome. Neil, we'll see you soon. And stay strong, brother.
Stay strong. Ready to go. Let's do this.
Let's do it.